Today we're going to be talking about a little life update. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leena Saleh, the Edtech Guru, where we are disrupting edtech and education. All right, let's do this. All right, everybody, as you've seen over the last few months, I've been a bit MIA and a bit sporadic with posting. I'm back home and I'm finally ready to go, but I wanted to give you all a little life update. Over the past 6 months, my fiance and I have spent our time traveling around the country while our house was being built. As you know, the pandemic has slowed quite a few things down, but we decided to take this opportunity to travel around the country. So we went from Tulum to New Orleans to Atlanta, Georgia, and then our last stop was in Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, recording on the road and trying to do YouTube videos in a very small space when both my fiance and I work in different industries. He works in the sports and nutrition industry doing some different components there, and he also films and does his own YouTube content as well. And working in the education space, both of us talking over each other just left a lot of times just where we just couldn't film. It's been a bit tough and a bit trying at times, but I wanted to discuss some of the biggest takeaways I had from traveling across the country. One thing was clear for me from being in Tulum, where students didn't really go to school. You would see the schoolhouse really quite empty, and most of the boys would work in the field. They would have machetes and they were chopping down trees, getting ready for construction. So most of the people who worked there, most of the kids, you would see them not really attending school, not really having the ability to. They are soon to be putting in a state type of school in Tulum. They're hoping that that's going to change the dynamic. But most of the Tulum works off of construction or works strictly from tourism. They work in restaurants and things like that. And so school has become not so valuable to them as they would like. Then you go to New Orleans, and in New Orleans, there's a little bit different of how the school systems work there. There's a lot of charter schools, and just the network of schools is quite different. And then you go to Atlanta, Georgia. It's an up-and-coming technology city where you see a much younger crowd, but then you also see a really diverse area. It was really cool to see the different diversities from Tulum, Texas, Denver, and really just making our way in Georgia. I saw a lot of STEM programs and a lot of push to meet the demands of the world of which they live in. Then we found ourselves in North Carolina. So in Charlotte itself, the school systems ran pretty regularly. You have some charter schools, some private schools, but each and every single school system runs so differently. It's just such a unique opportunity to be able to listen and hear what parents' feedback is and what the complaints are that they're listening to. And every single city has its own unique perspective on how the education system works and what they're looking for and what's sort of kind of happening. So it really opened my eyes a little bit more, even from moving from Denver to Austin, Texas. I just learned a lot about the school systems themselves, and then moving from Austin to Houston, it's just a very different learning curve. Another big takeaway that I had during this whole experience is just the unpreparedness that I myself had when we started to purchase this home. There's a lot of things that you just don't know about the loans and how the loans work and how much money you need to be thinking about putting down, how much money you're going to be spending for taxes. There's just quite a lot of components that we don't think about when we start to begin a home. And I thought about how I am educated and I am a first generation American. I just had a different kind of viewpoint for what it would be like for this home building process. I felt really much at a disadvantage, and I thought about how other socioeconomic classes might feel when buying their homes and just how easily it is for somebody to take advantage of them in the process. Luckily, I would fact check everything. If I just took everything at face value, we would have probably been very screwed over. And so it's just disappointing to me to think about all the things throughout my life that I just felt like I didn't quite learn in school, and I didn't even know how to approach it or how to really dissect or disseminate information. And so this happens from every single state that we travel to. Every single state has its own focus for the news stories, and every single place has just different places that they focus on. From Tulum, from trying to get groceries, it was very, very difficult if you couldn't communicate, and you had to know that you were just going to fail a lot of times. And every single city and every single state brings different kinds of representation. When building a home, it's just interesting because I think about, if I wasn't able to disseminate information easily, what was I going to do? I was going to be at a really high disadvantage, and that came from everything to the appraisal was not done right. There are just a lot of components that really just happened that we had to really research, because there's a lot of sticky laws that you don't even know about, and just a lot of ways that they can just catch you. And then if something happens, you lose everything. And so it just made me sad and made me have a better understanding for how we really need to prepare not only our students, but just be able to prepare for this more disadvantaged community that we're building. We are having our students come out with not knowing how to do resumes and not knowing how to do just a lot of real world experiences. And it's just something that I really think that we need to be pushing for, to create more unique opportunities for real world application and learning. The more that we can bring in real world application and learning, do you have to be a lawyer? No. Do you need to know every single tax law? No. Do you need to know how to do a resume? Absolutely. Should you know how to do a very primitive website? Yes. Should you know how to do an interview itself, and what kinds of questions to ask, and how to disseminate the information, and what research you should do before? We just really come out with a very disadvantaged thing. I think our youth is coming out a little bit stronger. There's a lot more tools and resources. You can look at YouTube. There's a lot of things that are there, but there's still just a lot of information that if you didn't know where to look or how to do it, you wouldn't be able to figure it out. And it just really broke my heart. And I really am a very big advocate for experiential learning and making sure that we are preparing our students and ourselves for what is needed for the world to come. The world is changing quickly and daily, and things are happening, and we just really aren't collectively as Americans preparing our students for what really needs to come. We're talking about real world application of skills. From finding jobs to how to do it, how to disseminate if somebody is trying to rip you off while you're trying to do jobs. There's a lot of false job postings. There's a lot of just false things that happen, and trying to understand, okay, if I work at In-N-Out and I make $15 an hour, what is my life going to look like in 10 years? If I don't attend college, if I don't do a trade school, and am I saying that every single person needs to go to college? I'm not. Absolutely not. There's so many underutilized representations that we don't even know about. And so I recently was doing a podcast for this new upcoming thing that's soon to be announced. And we were just discussing the different disadvantages and the importance of really just building stakeholders across many different varieties of learning. And so I think it's important to take these opportunities to talk with decision makers and different companies, and just even get a feel for, when you travel, turn on the news and see what's happening. It's really going to open your eyes to the other problems in other places than just your own. It's important to think about other people's circumstances, and the more that you can be understanding of circumstances, from anyone who's very financially sound and stable to very economically strong to those in lower socioeconomic status, it's just important to understand what skill sets are missing. And if you spend 5 minutes, or maybe even 5 minutes every single day of your vacation, you'll really take a lot from that community itself, and you can really open up and really understand, what is it that we do need to be bringing to our students, and bring this to your administrators, bring this to your principals, bring this to your superintendents, and really talk about what can we do and who can we partner with to make our students leave this place with the tools that they need to thrive, no matter if they know the math facts or they know the periodic table. What skill sets are we providing them to really get them to the next level? Just wanted to share this bit of a life update with you and kind of know where I've been and why I've been so MIA over the last few months and weeks and all of that jazz. But I appreciate you all for following along on my journey and for continuing to discuss the hard questions that we need to tackle together to really disrupt education. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for following along on this journey. My name is Leena Saleh, the Edtech Guru. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment below. And until next time.